Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we pot up some Gomphrena seedlings. So let's go. I live in New Hampshire. I garden in USDA Zone 5B. Based on my zip code, my average last frost date is around May 15th. Today is April 9th, and I'm about 5 weeks from my average last frost date. This is my first time growing Gomphrena, also known as globe amaranth, from seed. On April 2nd, which was 7 days ago, together we sowed a whole bunch of Gomphrena seeds. And if you missed that video, what I'll do is I'll put it down in the description below. I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous because these were seeds that I collected last year. And then we sewed them together. Fingers crossed is what I said in that video because I wasn't sure if they would germinate or not. I have great news. Many of those seeds did in fact germinate. As many of the seedlings started to germinate, what I did was I removed my tray off of the seedling heat mat. I also removed the humidity dome because I wanted to make sure that the seedlings could thrive. If I kept the humidity dome on for too long, it could cause damping off, which is a fungal issue, and that would kill my seedlings. And if I had left my tray on the seedling heat mat after many of the seedlings had germinated, that would make the seedlings very leggy. The tray has continued to stay under my LED shop lights, which come on at 5 a.m. They go off at 9 p.m., so they're on for 16 hours a day. The LED lights are also about 2 to 3 inches above my seedlings in order to make sure I get nice, robust, strong seedlings. If the lights are up too high, I'm going to get very leggy seedlings. My tray has drainage holes in the bottom of it, and that allows me to bottom water. That's really important at this point. I don't want to be watering from above. That can also cause fungal issues such as damping off. So you always want to bottom water your seedlings. If you'll recall, I first soaked the seeds for 2 days. Then together we sowed a few different colors of the Gomphrena seeds. They germinated pretty quickly, and I began pricking out and potting up the seedlings as I had time. Well, here's what the seedlings look like that I've potted up so far. I prefer to sow a lot of my seeds in these small little restaurant takeout containers. The biggest reason is they save a lot of space under my grow lights. Especially this time of year, I'm starting to run out of room under my grow lights, so I want to make sure that the seeds that I'm sowing are viable. As soon as I see germination occurring in these little restaurant takeout containers, I can then start pricking out and potting up the seedlings into something like 6 cell packs. And that usually ensures that I have a nice full tray of seedlings. Now, if I had skipped this step right here of multi-sowing, and I had sown the seeds directly into these 6 cell packs, yes, maybe a whole bunch of the seedlings would have germinated and I would have been fine. But this process has worked for me of heavily sowing the seeds in a container like this and then bumping them up. Because I don't know about you, but I really don't like to have a whole bunch of empty cells inside of a tray like this. I prefer for all the cells to be filled. Today, we're going to be pricking out and potting up some of these seedlings. So far, I've pricked out 66 seedlings. And I'm really happy with that, but I can tell you that I have almost double that amount left still in this tray to prick out and pot up. We originally planted the Gomphrena seeds in seed starting mix, which I made myself, and now we're going to be bumping up these seedlings into potting mix, which I also prefer to make myself. You don't have to use seed starting mix if you don't want to, and when it comes to potting mix, you don't have to make your own. You can always buy it. I prefer to make my own because after years of buying potting mix, I found that it's cheaper for me to make my own. When it comes to making my own potting mix, I like to use what are called parts. Parts can be something like a bowl, so 1 bowl would equal 1 part. So I start with 4 parts of peat moss. You can use cocoa coir if you prefer. I like to buy my peat moss in bulk from a local garden center. I then add in 1 part of perlite. Perlite is used for drainage, and I like to buy that in bulk off of Amazon. Next, I add in 1 part of vermiculite. Vermiculite is good for water retention, and I like to also buy a nice big bag off of Amazon. Finally, I sprinkle the top with about 1 tablespoon of garden lime, not the pelletized type, but the powder form. The reason for adding the lime is to offset the acidity levels that you find in peat moss. If you are going to make your own and you're going to use cocoa coir, you don't need to add the lime. I like to pre-moisten my potting mix, and I do that by adding boiling water. The reason I add boiling water is to kill off any fungus gnat eggs that might be in my peat moss. I mix it up well, I cover it up, and then I let it cool down. Once the potting mix has cooled down, it's safe to use. At this point, I'm transplanting my seedlings into 6 cell packs, and then the 6 cell packs are going to get placed into a solid bottom 10 by 20 tray. It's called a 10 by 20 tray due to its dimensions. It's 10 inches one way by 20 inches the other way. I'm all about reusing and recycling items whenever I can. That's why I use things like the restaurant takeout container, but also when it comes to pots and trays, Oftentimes I can get them for free or cheap off of Facebook Marketplace, from friends, from family members. I also have a backyard plant nursery. Many times people will come back and drop off their pots and trays. And then finally, there are garden centers that have recycling bins. So check those out because those will often have a place where you can pick up pots and trays also for free. Now I want to show you my process for potting up these Gomphrena seedlings.
When it comes to your potting mix, you want to make sure that it's not dripping wet. So when you squeeze it, there should be no water dripping from it. However, when you let go, it should hold its form, and that tells you it's the right consistency. Here's the 6 cell pack that we're going to use, and notice it has drainage holes in the bottom. That's very important. Whatever container or pot you use needs to have drainage holes in the bottom. Let's go ahead and add our potting mix to our 6 cell pack. It's very important that you fill up your 6 cell pack to the top. You want to press down, and the reason for that is you are trying to get rid of any air pockets that might be in there. If there are air pockets in there, that can cause a lot of issues, and one of the main issues is when it comes to bottom watering, you may not be able to fully bottom water a particular cell. Also make sure that you're not pressing down too hard, because if you press down too hard and compress the soil, it's going to cause problems for proper root development.
It's pretty amazing when you look at this little tray right here. We still have so many seedlings to prick out. So far I've pricked out a whole bunch of seedlings from in here. And these are white or pink colored Gomphrena. And that yielded me about 41 plants that are up over here. I also pricked out some orange Gomphrena. Now there weren't many, but at least I had some. And that's over here. So I was able to get 5 orange Gomphrena. And then I also began pricking out the lavender Gomphrena. And that's these 3 over here. So 18 of the lavender Gomphrena so far. And I still have a whole bunch of the white as well as magenta purple. You can imagine by the time all of these and all of these get pricked out, I'm sure we're going to make another tray, if not more, of Gomphrena. And I'll definitely give you an update on that in a future seedling tour. Since I have so many different colors of the Gomphrena, I'm definitely adding labels to each of my 6 cell packs. So together we're going to be pricking out some short lavender Gomphrena. You can use whatever tool you want. I'm just using a pen to make the holes, and yes, it's my trusted red pen. Right now, there's only the first set of leaves that have appeared, and these are the cotyledons. The next set of leaves that will appear are called the true leaves. We need to wait for those true leaves before we can start fertilizing. When it comes to handling seedlings, you never want to handle them by the stem. If you do that and the stem breaks, the plant will die. Always handle a seedling by its leaf. If one leaf breaks, the plant will still survive because it has another leaf or other leaves attached to it. The leaves allow the plant to photosynthesize and continue growing. I'm just going to use my pen again, and I'm going to get right beneath the seedling and carefully pull using the leaf to tug it out. I like to take off some of the excess soil here. Plus there might be a seed or 2 that gets attached to the bottom here. I just want to make sure I put them all back in. And that's what the roots look like, and it actually has a fair amount of a stem as well. We're going to be burying the stem, and just the leaves are going to stay above soil level. I do that with a lot of my plants that I pot up. Always do your research because some plants do not like to have their stems buried. When I made the holes in my 6 cell pack, I didn't necessarily make them all the way to the bottom. And that's fine because between the stem and the roots, there's still a little bit more room left in the bottom of the cell. I'm just gently guiding the roots inside of the hole, and I can use the back of my pen to help. And now I just want to go ahead and get the soil at the base of the plant and just push down. And I'm trying to get not just the roots, but a good amount of the stem beneath soil level as well. And that's what the seedling looks like now that it's tucked in. I always like to press down just in case there are any other seeds in here that might germinate. And earlier when I pricked out seedlings from here, I did the same thing. I just pressed down after pricking out the seedlings. It's definitely a tedious process when you multi-sow seeds like this. It's something that I enjoy, but I get it, it's not for everyone. You could definitely sow 1, if not 2 seeds per cell directly inside of a 6 cell pack. But had I done that with the orange colored seeds that I collected of Gomphrena, That would have been a problem because, as you saw, not many of those seeds germinated. So I would have had a lot of empty cells in that case. I'm going to press down. I am very, very excited about these Gomphrena seedlings. I'm looking forward to adding them into my landscape this year. I was asking Mr. Budget Gardener this morning, do you remember that day when we went to a local park near our home, and it was very busy there that day, and I was just sitting there collecting a whole bunch of seeds? He's like, yep. My experience has been when it comes to collecting seeds, oftentimes the plants look just like the original plant, like the parent plant. And seeing that I grow a lot of my plants just for my yard because I'm a home gardener, I don't mind if there is a little bit of a variation. But typically there isn't. Typically they look pretty uniform. Seeing that we still have 5 weeks left before my average last frost date, I'm confident that these plants will grow quickly and take right off. I was definitely skeptical when I soaked the seeds and then I sowed them. The seeds were they were a little they were pretty wet, and they were all sticking together. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Right now, since we're just doing a 6 cell pack, I pretty much just prick out 1 or 2 at a time. But when I'm doing this off camera, I might prick out a whole section of them. Just get right under there and pull out a whole section of them. But I try not to, for example, here, I would not try to just dump all of these out in one sitting, because what if I don't get to it? What if I don't get them in soil right away? So I do try to think about that, because what if I just have to stop planting these up? So I try not to prick out too many at one time. Could you do 3 or 4 or 5 at once? Of course, yes, definitely you could do that. And our last one. Sometimes I'll come in with the back of my pen and I'm just going to press at the base as well, just to make sure that the seedlings are secure. And that's what they look like. Aren't they cute? I'll continue to bottom water seedlings, and I'll also add a link in the description that goes over my process for bottom watering and fertilizing seedlings. At this point, my seedlings only have one set of leaves, the initial leaves. Those are called cotyledons. A seed has everything it needs in terms of energy stored inside of it. So do the cotyledon leaves. That's why you don't need to start giving any fertilizer at this point. However, when the next set of leaves appear, those are called the true leaves. Once the true leaves appear, I'm going to start fertilizing my seedlings. I'll fertilize my flower seedlings with all-purpose Miracle-Gro. You can use whichever fertilizer you want. The key is make sure you're only doing a half a strength of what's on the package. These seedlings are still very small. Once they get to be a much larger plant, at that point you can start giving a full strength of fertilizer. The seedlings will continue to stay under my grow lights. Again, the lights are 2 to 3 inches above the seedlings, and the lights are on 16 hours a day. If you want to know more about my grow lights, I made a video and I'll add a link to that down in the description. My grow room has an oscillating fan that runs 16 hours a day. The reason for the fan is to make stronger, sturdier plants. It basically adds movement in the room. It's similar to what the plants are going to experience when they're out in the yard. The fan also dries off the surface of the soil, which is also very good for the seedlings, because if the soil is too wet, it can cause fungal issues. Have you ever collected the seeds of Gomphrena before? And if not, I highly encourage you to do it. I made a video showing the process for collecting Gomphrena seeds, so you'll have to check it out. Also, if you are growing Gomphrena, either from seed or from plants that you've bought, let me know which variety or colors you're growing this year. I'll be sure to update you when it's time to pinch these plants back, harden them off, and then get them in the landscape. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.